Welcome to Sprayer Calibration on Greencast. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of the tools and techniques required to calibrate your boom sprayer. To calibrate your sprayer, you will need the following: a tape measure, a stopwatch, a graduated cylinder with a funnel, enough buckets to catch the water from each nozzle, a measuring wheel, a calculator, pens or pencils, a clipboard with either the Ontario IPM forms or a blank calibration form, rubber gloves, nozzle repair tools, and someone to help you operate the sprayer. To begin, take your measuring wheel and 2 irrigation flags and find a suitable location on your golf course that is flat. Place 1 flag in the ground and proceed to measure out 30 meters or 100 feet in a straight line, and then place the second flag in the ground. With your stopwatch in hand, have the sprayer operator select the proper gear and speed for spraying, and then take a running start towards the first flag. As the boom passes over the flag, begin recording the time on the stopwatch, and as the boom passes over the second flag, stop the time. This will give you your drive time in seconds, which you want to record on your sheet of paper. To get an average drive time, you need to repeat this process twice more. Now we are ready to measure the water output from the sprayer. To begin, ensure that the sprayer is half full with clean water. Charge the boom and ensure that the spray pattern is even and there is no leaking coming from the nozzles. If there is poor coverage or leaking coming from a nozzle, make sure you replace before you continue with the calibration. Using your tape measure, check the distance of the nozzle tips to the target surface or grass. Ideally, you should be 20 inches or 50 centimeters from the target. If it is not, adjust and measure again. Now use your tape measure to check the distance between nozzles. This number will be used later when calculating your boom width and the area sprayed. While the sprayer is running, record the pressure on the gauge closest to the nozzles. Record the number of nozzles on the sprayer and attach buckets as close to the boom as possible. With the sprayer running, count down from 3 and then turn the spray booms on. Wait for 10 seconds and then shut the booms off. The 10 seconds will be recorded as your catch time on your calibration sheet. Carefully remove the buckets from the spray booms so as not to spill any water. Starting from the left to the right, measure the nozzle output by pouring the contents of the bucket into the graduated cylinder. Record the volume of water in millimeters on a piece of paper or on your calibration sheet. Repeat this step for every nozzle. If you notice the output from a nozzle is much higher or lower than the rest, it's best that you inspect this nozzle for leaks or damage and repeat the catch time again before you proceed much further. Now it's time to take the information you have recorded in the field and to record it into your IPM calibration form. First, record the sprayer being calibrated, the date of calibration, and the individual doing the calibration. Write down the sprayer pressure from earlier, the nozzles that were used, the gear setting and RPM of the sprayer, only if required, and the distance used to measure the drive time. In this case, 30 meters. On the second page of the calibration form, record the 3 driving times from earlier. Add them together and divide by 3. This will give you your average drive time. To calculate the driving speed, take the driving distance, in this case 30 meters, and divide by the average drive time. This will give you a driving speed measured in meters per second. Multiply the number in meters per second by 3.6, and this will give you your speed in kilometers per hour. Next, record the number of nozzles on your sprayer. Then, record the individual nozzle outputs that you wrote down from earlier. Record the catch time, in this case 10 seconds, and then add all the nozzle outputs together and write down the total nozzle output in milliliters. Next, take your total nozzle output and divide by the number of nozzles on your sprayer. This will give you your average nozzle output. On the next page, record the nozzle output that is the farthest from the average. Then, record the average nozzle output and divide. This should give you a percentage between 90 and 110. If it is below or above this range, then there is likely an issue with that nozzle and you will need to inspect and replace it. Next, take your average nozzle output, multiply it by the number of nozzles, and divide it by the catch time. This will give you your flow rate, in this case, in milliliters per second. From our measurements earlier, we already know what the nozzle space is. Take this number and multiply it by the number of nozzles. This will give you the boom width, in this case, in meters. For your calculations will be accurate, always record nozzle spacing in meters or feet. Now let's calculate the sprayer output. Multiply the average drive time by the flow rate, and this gives us the sprayer output in milliliters. To determine the area sprayed, we multiply the boom width by the driving distance, in this case 30 meters, and we get our spray area in meters squared. Now, let's calculate the water volume. First, we take the spray output in milliliters, and we divide it by the area sprayed in meters squared. This gives us a water volume in milliliters per meter squared. Using the conversion table at the bottom of the calibration form, if you take the water volume in milliliters per meter squared and you multiply it by 0.1, you get a spray output in liters per 100 meters squared. This number is compliant with IPM reporting requirements. Lastly, you need to take the information from your calibration work form and copy it onto the calibration form required by the IPM Council. This form is a condensed form from the one you previously worked on. It contains information about the golf facility, the golf course, and the IPM agent and certification number. When complete, don't forget to have the individual that calibrated the sprayer and the IPM agent date and sign the form. We hope that you have found this sprayer calibration video helpful. Syngenta is committed to supporting their customers during the adoption of the new regulations in Ontario and IPM programs in other provinces. If you have any questions, please contact your local Syngenta turfgrass specialist.